I think when you take a creative person and you take maybe their primary craft out of the picture, they're going to come up with something.
Yeah.
You know, you can take it's like if I was a painter and somebody, there was just no way I was ever going to get my hands on paintbrushes again. I'm going to start sculpting. I've got to do something. So it was a way for me. And I've always had a big love for cooking. That's what I've always done. I'm not doing music. I'm working in restaurants. Um, so for me, it was being creative, something that I could formulate on my own and try different variations, and I could, do it on a stovetop and ingredients. It was just, it's been something that's been fitting. It's definitely a struggle, trying to do all the art and everything myself and get it up and going. But I'm working on it, man.
Angry Gnome. Why Angry Gnome?
It came about. I've always had this fascination with gnomes. The very first jam project that I started when I was 18 or 19, or was played with buddies back in my hometown of Coshocton, Ohio. We called ourselves the Garden Gnomes. I don't know if they were into the idea as much as I would, but I thought it was badass because we were all like long-haired, bearded, hippie guys, kind of short, and we looked like kind of like a bunch of gnomes. I thought it was pretty hilarious. But as of recently, I I did a little New York City weekend run with a Erie musician named Justin Moyer, and I took this selfie, and how it was with this hat I had on, I looked like a very angry gnome. And I posted the picture, and I had a few people saying that. And then I think joking around to a buddy, Derek Hayes, he was the guy that helped me with my live streams. When COVID hit, we did all my records straight through live streams every Friday night for like the first 5 weeks of the COVID lockdown. But he printed off he took the picture, made it black and white, and put Angry Gnome. And I was like, I'm going to start a hair pomade company. I'm going to call it Angry Gnome. It was kind of a joke. And then I actually did. I'm in the process of doing. So yeah, I'm hoping speaking of Angry Gnome, I'm hoping by the winter time, I can have a site launched and have the products available for sale, because a bunch of people have been hitting me up wanting some. I'm working on the art. I'm working on locking in the perfect recipes. I'm going all natural, organic products, using all natural beeswax, stuff like shea butter, mango butter, argan oil, jojoba oil, cocoa butter, vitamin E, a bunch of different stuff. But I've been working hard to make it perfect. I have something right now that I could just send out in the world, but it's not perfect. So I'm hoping by the winter time it'll be fully up and launched, and have a commerce site and everything for where you can buy it.
Hey, why beard products? Just natural progression of needing to tame the beast, or
To be honest, I've been rocking like the fade and the slicked back hair for a few years now. And I've recently found out there's a lot of companies that are doing it. But as far as locally, you go to the hair places or to Walmart, it's real limited. Everything's super sticky or doesn't work, doesn't hold. You look at the ingredients list, and it's just full of chemicals. I wanted to be able to make my own lotions, and just kind of being bored in quarantine, I started looking, how can I make my own hand lotion? Because at work, my hands get real dried out. I use rubber gloves all the time. My hands are super dry. So I'm like, I'm going to make my own lotion. And then I realized that, like, oh, here's a recipe for lip balm. Here's a recipe for pomade. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I started doing research, finding out what was really good for your hair, what helped with the thinning out, receding hairline. I started doing it for myself. And then I was like, you know what, this is kind of cool. I'm going to give it to a few friends. And then I had some friends that were like, dude, this shit's awesome. Can you keep making it? So we'll see what happens, man.
Cool.
I've gone on so many different ventures with different things over the years, that a little official little business I think would be good for me, and maybe make some money.
Yeah, right on.
but with
Yeah.
a quality product that is good for you with no, petroleum and bad shit in it. But with the Angry Gnome, I can see why already in the early stages of doing this, why companies would use chemicals. Because I get to a point with consistency, like getting it naturally to the consistency that I want, like how it feels in your hand, but with the action that you want it to have is very difficult. And I think, and I've gotten to points where like, dude, I could order this chemical and add water and it would have that strong hold like a gel, but it would also like, be like a lotion in your hand. And you can achieve all that stuff with chemicals, but it's been very difficult to get it to look, smell, feel, and act the way that I want it to with only using natural chemicals. So that's been the 3-month battle, research and development, you know,
Yeah.
in trying 700 different formulas in my own hair and beard. So that's been the battle, but it became apparent to me why people would use chemicals and certain things. So it's been a struggle, but I think it's going to be worth it in the long run.
Do you want to talk about your podcast a little bit since you're going to be getting back into it? What was the motivation for creating the podcast? What was the motivation for continuing the podcast and so on and so forth?
So yeah, so Sink Swarm Fly, if I could say it, was started with a buddy of mine about a year ago named Luke Kuzmish. And we did a few episodes together. He couldn't exactly find the time, so I took on the project myself. I don't even remember how many episodes that we have up right now, but it has primarily been focused on recovery, music, local art, anything under the sun, really. With this summer working so much, I haven't had the time to sit down and do it, but I plan on doing a whole nother run of episodes very soon. And it's on all, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcast, TalkShoe is the site, the base site that we use. You can find it on there, Sink Swimmer Fly. But I think there's 20 some episodes, which I thought was an accomplishment. Really, I've heard a lot of ones come out of the region and they do 2 or 3, and then you never hear about them again. So I would like to keep it going, and keep finding interesting guests like yourself. We should do one.
I have to ask about your bike and your fascination with building and restoring bicycles.
I grew up skateboarding, BMXing. That was like my jam when I was a kid. And then as I've gotten older, I've had a few beach cruisers, like not beach cruisers, but the 60s, 70s type bikes that look like beach cruisers.
The townies, the
Yeah, the
no
old.
gear, just run around.
Yeah, I love the look of those old, 40s, 50s, 60s bikes. And I've had a few on and off over the years. And if I had a lot of money, I'd probably have a lot more. Yeah, I for sure would have a lot more. And then I got a 60s Monarch. I think it's a company out of Chicago, World's Fair era. I got one off marketplace, and I told the guy, I'm going to put an engine on this. And he kind of looked at me weird. And then like 6 months later, I sent him pictures of it with an engine on it. But I got a little Chinese kit off the internet, did a bunch of upgrades, a lot of customization, and I got that thing ripping down the streets of Erie about 40 miles per hour. And then, yeah, I didn't restore this Motobacan. It's like a 70s French road bike. I did, however, have a local guy in Erie do it for me. I just got it back today. But that one I'm going to use more for exercise. The 60s Monarch, with the engine on it, that is because I have a love for vintage motorcycles, like the early Harleys, the early Indians that look like they're bicycle crossovers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I love that, but they're like, what, to get a working one that looks that good is 70 grand, maybe. Lots of money.
Yep.
So that's my little makeshift tribute.
Nice. Yeah.
Super. I feel super riding that down the road. There's some people that look at me and they're just like, I don't like your life choices. written all over their face. This sounds like a dirt bike, man. I went to this vintage motorcycle festival. I forget where it was in Ohio, but I went there with an old girlfriend, her and her dad. And they were really into that stuff. They had some like older Ducatis, older Yamaha, different motorcycles. And that festival blew my mind. And I saw some Whizzers. You're familiar with Whizzers?
I kind of.
They were like a bicycle kit from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And then they actually had their own bikes. But that's what sparked the love for the motorized bicycle.
Okay.
That festival really, I like old shit, man. I like the old antiques. I love American Pickers. I love that show, man.
So being on the road for 30 days at a time, do you have a best show you've ever played, or what are your greatest road memories?
I really loved, I've played some really awesome venues up and down the coast. Any shows that were specific shows. I remember Virginia. I played 3 or 4 breweries in Virginia a couple times on my way down through the Carolinas and stuff. And I absolutely love those places. And I can't even think of their names off the top of my head. The breweries all started to kind of run together. But I really loved, even being alone, the aspect of I'm in a car, I've got my gear, there's no one with me, because I travel alone for the most part. And listening to music, driving down the highway down south with the windows open, knowing I was on the way to a show. And if the show didn't turn out amazing or not, I felt like I was on a mission. And those are the moments. Yeah. And I remember I had gotten a hold of some Wu-Tang Clan tracks without the vocals on them. And I remember flowing, like doing some rap over top, like driving through the mountains, and nobody was around, dude. And something clicked, and I was busting out like some sick flows that I could never do in front of people or probably ever again. And that was one of the highlights of touring, was that one time that I was doing some wicked rapping on the mountains to Wu-Tang Clan. Yeah, that was I love that, man. I went through a really bad breakup on the road. And it was almost like a coming of age, you know. I hung out with people along the way. I met a bunch of people. I stayed at people's houses. I partied, and not in a horrible way, but in like ended up at people's houses afterward and had some really great experiences. I really felt like I belonged out there. I wasn't one of those people dreading it and wanting to just go home. I was fine with kicking my feet up at a Walmart parking lot and sleeping. I felt alive. I definitely am going to be doing more of that as soon as the world opens back up. You know, I love it, man, and I miss it. I like to try to outdo myself as much as possible. And I'm excited for the future, you know. I haven't been as busy musically as I've been in the past, but I feel it's all for good reason. And, you know, if I could just do creative stuff and work on this company and take care of my kid, and I could, you know, live out comfortably just doing that, you know, not reaching for too much money or whatever. If I could just do that, I'd be a happy camper, and that's the goal. Hey, dude, if I could, you know, when I say I want to do music for life, I'm not looking for the cover of Rolling Stone. I'm looking to inspire people, you know, even in a region, and make good money doing it. And there's nothing wrong with having other outlets and kind of collectively getting by and they're doing it, you know.
Rust growing out of my ears, still tormented from all of these years. Poking myself in the bathroom, I cannot hear when I zoom, 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 zoom. And you ain't heard the devil speak, and you ain't heard the devil speak like me.